All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a pretty big question today. In a world where English is, absolutely everywhere, what does it really take to be a great English teacher anymore? Let's find out.
And to help us, we're turning to a legend in the field. Our guide is Jeremy Harmer's classic book, The Practice of English Language Teaching. Seriously, think of this thing as the ultimate playbook for teachers. We're going to break down some of its best moves.
I mean, you gotta ask that question, right? English isn't just some subject you learn in school anymore. It's the language of the internet, of business, of movies. It's just unavoidable. So naturally, teaching it has become a whole new ballgame.
So yeah, that's what we're here to do. We are flipping open that playbook to look at the game-winning strategies for anyone teaching English today.
First up, let's just try to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of English in the world. This isn't just a language we're talking about, it's a global force.
Okay, get ready for this number. Somewhere around 700 million people speak English as a foreign language. Just let that sink in. It's gotten so huge that non-native speakers have long since outnumbered native speakers. The English classroom isn't just a room anymore. It's literally the entire planet.
And that's why you'll hear this term lingua franca. What's that? Well, it's just the go-to language when two people don't share a native tongue. So a programmer from Brazil can work with a designer from Poland, all because they have this one language in common, English. It's the ultimate bridge.
Now, this might look a little complex, but stick with me because it tells a really fascinating story. It's called Kottru's three circles model. That tiny little inner circle, that's your traditional English-speaking countries, like the US and the UK. Then you've got the outer circle, places like India, where English has an official role. But look at that huge expanding circle. That's most of the rest of the world. And here's the kicker. Those outer and expanding circles are now way bigger than the inner circle. The center of gravity for English has totally shifted.
So, that's the big picture. Now let's zoom all the way into the most important person in this whole story, the learner. Because, as you're about to see, they are definitely not all the same.
Just look at this contrast. It's like night and day. You've got young kids who are like sponges. They just soak up the language without even trying. But good luck keeping their attention for more than a few minutes. Then you have adults. They can think abstractly, they bring all this life experience to the table, but they can also be way more anxious about making mistakes. You just can't use a one-size-fits-all approach.
And it goes even deeper than just age. This is Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, and it basically shows us that we're all wired differently. Some of us learn through logic and numbers. Others are word smart and learn through stories. And then you have people who need to move their bodies to learn. A great teacher knows their job isn't to teach in just one way, but to give every type of learner a chance to connect.
Okay, so if the students are that diverse, what does that mean for the teacher? Well, it means you can't be just one thing. A truly effective teacher is a master of disguise, always wearing the right hat for the right moment.
I absolutely love these metaphors from Harmer's book. Are you an actor, bringing the language to life? Or an orchestral conductor, making sure everyone is playing their part? Or maybe you're more like a gardener, just creating the perfect conditions for your students to grow on their own. The point is, it's always changing.
So let's look at a few of these hats. First up, the one we all recognize, the controller. This is the classic teacher at the front of the class, running the show, giving instructions. It's super useful sometimes, but if that's the only hat you wear, your students never really get a chance to talk.
Now this hat might be the most important one of all, the organizer. This is the teacher as an architect, carefully designing an activity, giving crystal clear instructions, and then managing all the feedback. This is where the real magic happens, and getting it right is the difference between a fantastic lesson and just chaos.
And then you have a total shifting gears, the teacher as a resource. In this role, you kind of step back. The students are working, they're driving the lesson forward, and you're just there to help when they get stuck, like a walking dictionary or a helpful GPS they can consult for directions. This is so crucial for helping students become independent learners.
All right, so we've got our diverse students and our multi-talented teacher. But how does the learning itself actually happen? Let's pop the hood and look at the engine of language acquisition.
This next idea is a complete game changer. It's called the affective filter. Just imagine there's a kind of shield inside a student's mind. When they feel good, relaxed, interested, confident, that shield is down and information can just flow right in. But if that student is stressed out or bored or anxious, that shield goes right up. And it doesn't matter how great your lesson is, nothing's getting through. So what's a teacher's #1 job then? It's to lower that filter. You have to create a space that's positive and relaxing, where students aren't terrified of making a mistake. You make the lessons relevant to their lives. Bottom line, a happy, relaxed student is a student who's ready to learn.
Okay, that's a lot of the why. For our final section, let's get really practical. What does all of this theory actually look like when you walk into a classroom on a Monday morning?
For decades, this was pretty much the standard way to teach. It's called presentation, practice, production. It makes a lot of sense, right? First, the teacher presents some new grammar, then the students practice it with some drills, and finally, they try to produce it on their own. It's structured, it's clear, and it's very teacher-centric.
But what if you just flipped that whole thing on its head? Well, that's exactly what modern approaches like task-based learning do. Here, you don't start with grammar. You start with a real-world task, like, say, planning a vacation together. The students just use whatever English they have to get it done. It's only afterward that the teacher comes in and helps them with the specific language they needed. It's all about learning because you have a real reason to communicate.
So, which one is better, the old way or the new way? And the answer, maybe surprisingly, is neither. The real secret weapon for a modern teacher is something called pragmatic eclecticism. It's not about being loyal to one single method. It's about having a huge toolbox full of different approaches and knowing exactly which tool to pull out for the right students at the right time.
And really, that's what it all comes down to. Being a great modern English teacher means understanding the huge global picture, really knowing your individual students, being able to wear a dozen different hats, and blending your methods to create the best possible learning experience. So the playbook is open for you. The only question left is, what kind of teacher would you be? Thanks for joining me on this explainer.